Today on Shop Talk, we're going to be discussing 3D printing and the latest innovations and experiments that are happening here at Harrelson Trumpets. So, I'm holding here a 3D printed trumpet mute, and this is a prototype that we've been working on. It is not going into production because really what we're trying to do here is create the net shape of the bell itself, but create it in something that's very strong and can be 3D printed. Most of the engineering is on the inside of this. We've come up with a better system that I can't wait to introduce to you, but it's going to take a little more time. I want to show you some of the stuff that's happening on our 3D printers and how that really comes into play in terms of creating solutions as well as innovating for the end user, which is you. So the next thing I really want to mention is that on our website you can get to a section that shows you really what I'm working on a couple different ways, because we post these in a few places. First off, if you go to harrelsontrumpets.com, it'll give you this discover button. Just click it. When you get there, you have a lot of other options, but in reality all you need to do is go to news and watch the news feed, or especially go to Jason's blog. Alright, so that's my blog. When we get to the blog, you want to scroll down and see what I'm blogging about. Now, I haven't blogged in quite a while, or at least not regularly, simply because that stuff takes a lot of time. I've been filming a lot of videos, so you can watch those. And as well, our YouTube channel has really just exploded because we've put a lot more time into that. But if you want to see everything up until today, what I've done, then you want to check out Instagram and YouTube and see some of the videos where I feature some of the 3D prints. But like this mute and this other mute and trumpet bells that we've printed, we've been exploring a lot of different technologies. Some of those are nylon, so I'm going to show you this one. This is a nylon part that can be embedded with carbon fiber or fiberglass or Kevlar thread. We bought a Mark Forged printer to experiment with this. We've spent quite a bit of time on it, and when I pull this off, then I'm going to pull it apart, then you can see underneath here is an actual half of a tuning slide. So I'm pulling it apart. These are the build layers that were part of the printing process. So I pull all that off, got a few more pieces here, and start to see looks like an actual tuning slide. So we'd have to clean that up a little more, but look at that. It is actually one half of a Harrelson Trumpets tuning slide, and this one's out of nylon. Looks like that one has some fiberglass in it as well. So we have been doing a lot of experiments with this kind of technology, really to push the limits and see what's possible in terms of possibly 3D printing parts. Some other parts that I will show you are prototypes. So this here was with the ultimate goal of creating something that's actually 3D printed, similar to what we do now, printed rather than machined. But this was a prototype just to test an idea, which was create some honeycomb cutouts inside one of our finger rings and just test a new design. It didn't take too long to design this and then print it and then just be able to hold it. I refined the design so that it had more rounded edges and smaller honeycombs, and rather than these sharp flat sections. And I also printed this one as actual size. And that became an actual program that I then machined on the milling machine. So I'm going to get this up close to the camera so we can see it. Check that out. Isn't that cool? So this is a fully machined brass finger ring that can become one of 3 different finger rings on one of our horns. And the idea here is that we can cut the weight down while keeping the efficiency. So I'm going to set this up here. That's something we've been working on quite a bit. Here's another one, and I'm working on different sizes. The goal here is to then 3D print and then machine braces tuning slide, bell crook, maybe even the bell, that are much more lightweight out of brass or aluminum. And with that honeycomb structure, they can be very strong. We can also try other cross sections, other structures. So we are moving towards that as well. I'm going to show you a couple other things that I've done on 3D printers that really have just helped us in the shop in terms of workflow. So this is a jig or a fixture that what I designed to hold our third braces after they've been machined. So here's one of the third braces. And the idea is we can clean up these braces and do the final handwork without hurting ourselves because they're very sharp edges. I'll bring it up to the camera so you can see it. So here's a finished brace, and this is straight off of the lathe. So we did all the milling on the lathe, and it does look kind of rough. And then here is the jig that allows us to finish this part. So we slide it in here, and once it's in there, we can put it on a spindle sander and clean up the sides and the ends. And while we're holding it this way, it's not going to be too hot or sharp for our hands. Whenever we do hand sanding or anything else, we can just do it holding a larger piece. So I'll show you the finished version. Alright, so there's a finished brace. And you can see it's very smooth and very clean.